Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ambition for Breakfast, where we bring you food for thought.
An inspiration for your soul.
On today's amazing episode, we have Beauty Boss Daniela Ciocan. She's a two-time winner of Trade Show Executive's Marketing Genius Award, and she also grew Cosmoprof North America from its infancy to become the biggest beauty show in the world.
Absolutely. We're so excited for you guys to get to know her on a business and personal level. We're going to talk about trends in the beauty industry, in the business industry. We're going to talk about her struggles as a boss woman in such a high, powerful position. And we're so excited for you guys to get to know her a little more.
And anyone who just wants to learn more about owning your space, like this is the episode to listen to, because Daniela is such a boss and, it can come off as a bit intimidating, but she has put her career first and it absolutely shows with her success, her track record, and all of these incredible relationships with really high profile entrepreneurs that she's been able to cultivate over the years.
So get ready to meet the ultimate breadwinner and enjoy the show.
Grab your breakfast and enjoy. Thank you so much, Daniela, for joining us on Ambition for Breakfast. We're so excited to have you today.
Yes, we have Daniela Ciocan. She is the CEO and founder of Access Beauty Insiders. She is the organizer of Unfiltered Experience, one of our dear friends of our brand and just personally. And we're so excited to have you today.
I'm so excited to be chatting with you. Who doesn't want ambition for breakfast?
Exactly. That's what we're trying to say.
Where does your drive come from? Because you're so innovative. You always have, these exciting projects in the works. Like, what motivates you?
I think it's always a desire of trying something new, like I get giddy when I think of a new idea, of a new project, especially if it wasn't done before in the event space. It's a challenge that I need in my life, because it gives me then the motivation and the focus. So I think that ideas, come all the time, and they excite me, and then I need to go for it. And that's why, like, every year I've tried to implement and bring something new to the market and to the shows I've been involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfiltered Experience was so unique. And we were, so thrilled to be part of such a special event that brought together, industry leaders with these influencers of all sizes and from all backgrounds. Like, what do you see as the future of events, like particularly in the beauty space?
I think events, especially now with the pandemic, will have to adjust and will have to be different. But going back to the first edition of Unfiltered that we did, so I ran Cosmoprof in North America for 13 years, and I really took that event from it being very hair-driven, very salon-driven, and I really turned it around into a place where indie companies would come to launch, and that was the foreground, for It Cosmetics and Drunk Elephant and Briogeo to come to market and connect with the retailers. So that was very B2B focused. And after 13 years, when I left, I started seeing a shift, right? And the shift was more towards direct to consumer. And it was towards social media as an avenue of connecting with communities and with consumers, more so than traditional PR, media, advertising. And in seeing that shift, I wanted to create an event, and the whole vision of Unfiltered was to create an event where brands, especially newer brands, fresher brands that are coming to the forefront in our space in beauty and wellness, would have an opportunity to connect with social media influencers, almost like I would connect them with buyers. I would connect at Cosmoprof brands with buyers, kind of connecting them the same way, making that organic connection between influencers and brands, and then bringing in this amazing content to inspire consumers, so that if they want to start their new business, they could hear from awesome founders, who have been there, who've done it, who've had challenges, right, and kind of learn from them. And then yeah, make it about beauty education too, and like put influencers on a stage and then have them do like, you know, what they do on their social feeds, which is like these amazing transformational makeovers and then hairstyle education. So the event was really like wanting to take the whole concept of events and kind of turning it around based on what I was seeing, which is again this like direct to consumer shift and the social media becoming so important for brands. And then the pandemic happened. I was very excited. And by the way, I have to give credit to editor and then Brianna and you, Karen, you were so instrumental in being my cheerleaders as I was doing the first edition of Unfiltered, and then creating it so that it was super fun. The influencers, many said that they really enjoyed it. It was unlike any other event because it was very intimate. Right. And then it was recognized by BizBash as well as the best influencer event of the year, People's Choice Awards. And that was such a good feeling because, you know, we were up against major multinational companies that have a lot of teams at their disposal and a lot of money, which wasn't so much the case with us. So thank you to your team as well. But
congratulations. That's huge.
Yeah, so that was an awesome recognition for the first initial event. And then the pandemic came. And then when the pandemic came, you know, like every event obviously was canceled. And then everyone was looking at virtual. And we did too. But again, we wanted to create something that was true to the DNA of what Unfiltered would be, which again is this connection of for brands with industry insiders. You know, like even the name Access Beauty Insiders for me was meant to give you the idea that, you know, the event is going to connect you to real insiders. So how could we do that, you know, in a different way? So we did a virtual event in mid-October where we did kind of like speed dating, arrange meetings between buyers, and we did work with Sephora, with Walmart. Target Accelerator was a sponsor and was working with us. But then week 2, we brought in social media influencers, and there were meetings that happened between influencers and brands. And then the last week, we did meetings between industry experts and then the brands. So it was a very different event. It was very challenging to put it all together because, hey, no one's done just a virtual event ever, right? As event organizers. So we were like threading on a different water. So it was learning experiences. But I think moving forward, you know, having done a virtual, having done in-person events and looking ahead, I think that every event will need to have a virtual component so that you can accommodate people that don't want to travel, cannot travel, right, you know, and open up the event to different demographics that you may not necessarily want to have physically present, but you want them to interact somehow with your key stakeholders.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you grew even Cosmoprof North America from its infancy to this world-renowned event. You've been awarded as a marketing genius. You are just an innovator. And I want to know, like, when you work with so many entrepreneurs who have so many different brands, how do you know that something is special and that like this brand is really going to take off? Because I think that's such a unique skill that you have.
Oh, thank you, Karen. I don't know. I think it's using your eye, you know, like when you see so many products come to the market, you know, you kind of recognize, oh, this is a me too. You know, I've seen this before, a different flavor, but I've kind of seen this, you know. And then when you hear someone that has a really unique story and they're really passionate about it, and then, you know, like the packaging is right and it tells you the story, and then the ingredient builds on that, and then, you know, the communication is right as well. It's kind of like one layer stacked upon another where you kind of feel like, I get it, this like really, you know, draws me in. And if it draws me in, you know, I think it has enough of a something where it might have a chance. It's very competitive in our industry, and we've seen so many companies come to the forefront, you know, and unfortunately not many of them make it. They might make it where, you know, the founder has a living where they don't need a job, but they don't make it to the level of It Cosmetics, billion-dollar brand. So I think that it's very difficult to get to that success because you need all of these ingredients. And majority of the founders that come in our industry, they're not chemists. They don't have any unique patents. So the first step everyone does is they go to contract manufacturers. And the formulas that you buy from contract manufacturers are formulas that they're adjusted to a certain degree, but the formulas that have been around on shelf for years and years. And so, that presents that from the get-go a little bit of a challenge.
I want to talk about when I first met you. So I first met Daniela. I had heard so much about her. She was almost like this untouchable being. And then when I saw her in person, she was so glamorous. She was hosting the probably most prestigious party in the industry at the time. I mean, she was surrounded by the biggest CEOs in our industry. I approached her. She was with George Schaefer, who's the godfather of OPI. And I was shaking in my boots when I met you. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting Daniela. And I was like, hey, Brianna. And for some reason, you picked me to be your friend. And I see these amazing connections. And I've been with you when we have been in a group setting where people are literally starstruck when they meet you. Like they really are. And it's just been such a fascinating thing to see and just to be a part of. Like, you're definitely one of my friends that you're like a flex friend. I'm friends with Daniela. So, when people meet you, they just are, you're like a magnet to them. I want to know, how do you do it? How do you keep all of your connections? How do you nurture all of your connections that you have? Because you have so many.
Yeah, I think it's the most important thing. Funny you asked me that, because I was just saying to someone, I think yesterday, that one of the key things that most people in the industry are not getting is that relationships are everything. And grooming your relationships and staying in touch with people is so important. So for me, I don't know, I think I have this knack of remembering, oh my God, let me just send a text message to so and so, so I'm pretty good at just remembering to send messages to people every now and then, and just check in and just be like, hey, I'm just thinking of you. And then trying to, even through this pandemic, I've started to be more cognizant of the fact that although we cannot meet face to face, although we can't travel, right, and have events where you network and you see your friends from the industry, it's important to still reach out and have a coffee chat, or have a wine date. So I've been trying to do that as well, because again, at the end of the day, it's you want to maintain your network. And then going back to Karen's first question about ideas come from just talking to a variety of people from different paths of life and different sides of our industry. So for me also, I love the communication that I have, because it always I hear things, and then that's what kind of triggers in my mind, oh, that could be something new that I do if I marry it with that and with this, so so for me, I thrive on relationships, and then, as I said, it also gives me that spark for ideas and creativity.
And you did also mention how competitive the beauty industry can be. So to get to where you are today and to be, renowned in the beauty industry, what were some of the challenges? And did you find that, a lot of women weren't quick to kind of accept you and, allow you to take up space in this industry?
I think it is, you have to be, well, when I was running Cosmoprof, I felt many times you have to be as diplomatic as a politician, because you want to keep everyone happy and involved with the brand. And then and just because it's my nature too, I've always been like a 411 office where, I don't mind making connections. I don't mind, if you call me and, you are looking for a job or you're looking for something. And if I can suggest someone or make an intro, that's fine. So I think that also helped, kind of protect the space that I had and secure a certain space in people's minds where, you know, they were thinking of me. But it is, I don't think that everyone loves me in the industry. But I always try to be nice and fair and helpful as much as I can. And I think that then if you are your authentic self and, you know, you come from that space always of how can I be of assistance? How could I serve you, you know, with no expectation back? I think that people can kind of tell then who you are, and then they respond accordingly.
Yeah, I think it's better to be respected than just universally loved anyway. You know, it's like you have those genuine connections with certain people and they know your true heart. And, you know, ultimately that's what's important, because those relationships have been so important to your career and to your success.
Yeah,
that's
and you
right.
want to be genuine, you know. For me,
Mhm.
always, like if someone asks, you know, can you connect me with so and so, I will do it, especially if I think it's a value to the other person and then to you as well. You know, I try to also be very cognizant that, you know, I need to bring value to everyone to the table as much as I can. So and I think, again, going back to what you're saying, Karen, if you do that, you know, it generates, enough respect, and then, you know, people see and respond to that accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, you are such a boss. You are intimidating, and you know how to like control the room. And I think that's something that a lot of women can learn from, you know,
It's so
because
funny
it
you
can be
say
very
that, though, because
intimidating.
I never think of myself as such, you know. I always laugh at my friends, you know, and I consider both of you friends, and you know, when you make comments like that, and you're like, oh, when you get on the stage, you know, you're like so amazing, and I always feel like it's never good enough. I'm not good enough at, you know, getting up on a stage. I'm not good enough at, you know, like making myself heard, making myself understood. So it's so interesting how our perception and that of others, you know, don't necessarily connect.
I tell you all the time.
We all need to work on that more, you know,
Yes.
because we always feel like we're not enough, we're not good enough.
Mhm. Yeah. I think that it's important too to have those friends who are able to remind you of who you are and your perception. Like sometimes I'll text you like before a big day or before a big meeting, and I'll say, don't forget who you are. And it's true. It's so true.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah, it's great to have friends like that in your corner for sure. I have several that do that. Like they'll send me like really powerful messages, right? Or like they'll take snapshots of my pictures and send like just a reminder, like this is who you truly are. So that feels good for sure.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Who are your mentors, or who are some people that you look up to and, you know, still aspire to be like?
Mentors. I've never had a mentor per se, to be honest. And I always wanted a mentor ever since I got in the beauty industry. I always dreamed of having a mentor, and I've never really had that one person that was super glued to me throughout my career. But I do look up to powerful women. I mean, I am in awe of Anastasia. Anastasia Beverly Hills is her brand, but she's such a powerful woman, and she has dedicated herself to her career. But then I can see her through the lenses of her being a mom and her being a daughter as well. She's also Romanian, just as I am. And I just so relate to that. So I look up at her, and I'm so in awe and inspired by her. I love looking up at women that have made a mark on the industry and are trying to also balance life and career, which is so hard, and who are being honest about the conversation.
Yeah, and going back to your start, how did you get into the beauty industry? And was that always something that you've been passionate about?
I got into the beauty industry by sheer coincidence. I was in my early 20s, and my parents had challenged me to get a job. because I was partying too much. And then I was trying to get into the modeling world in New York City. And, you know, basically I was just going to lots of clubs, and nightlife was my primary objective. And so my parents were like, okay, you have to get a job. This is not gonna go on like this. And I didn't really have any skills, you know, at that point. So I got a job selling cosmetics behind the counter at Bloomingdale's, and I fell in love with the industry. And there was an older lady who was working there, and she would, every day I would go to work, she would be on my case and say, you know, Daniela, you're such a bright girl. You're so young. You need to go to school. And I really didn't know what I loved. I loved selling beauty products. So she's like, I'm sure that there's a school out there that you could go to where you could learn about the industry, and maybe you can work in the industry. And that started me on the path, and I found FIT, which is in New York City. And then they had a new cosmetics marketing bachelor's program. And then I registered, I graduated magna cum laude. And then from there on, I started working in the beauty space. I did my internship at Estee Lauder Corporate with Origins, with the VP at Origins. And then once I graduated, I started working for the 4th largest Japanese cosmetics manufacturer called Kosei. They had a beautiful brand called Awake at the time that was way, way ahead of its age. We had sheet masks, and this is like 20 years ago, I'm talking. And the eye patch masks, you know, that you see now, they're so popular, and people couldn't like grasp what they wore because no one had those. Yeah, so that's how I got started. And then after working on the brand side for 9 years, then I had the opportunity to start working with Cosmoprof and then turn around the show. And lo and behold, that was a fun journey. And here we are.
That's incredible. Like, she saw something in you when you were first getting started behind the counter. So, I mean, that definitely speaks to, you know, your work ethic and your just innate ability to sell and to discover these unique brands.
Yeah, it was fun. I think that, you know what, in hindsight, because even to this day, I always say I'm not a good salesperson. And again,
That's crazy.
I know, I'm like, yeah, right.
I would say something because I was talking to another friend just a week ago, and she was like, you could sell ice to Eskimos. And again, I say, I'm not a salesperson. But I think that one of the reasons why people connect with you in any situation is if they feel that you're genuine, and if you accept them, you know, as they are. And I did that so well when I was selling beauty products. I would have customers that would just come and want to hang out, and they would stay there the whole night, and they would be like, okay, well, just tell me what I need to buy so that I buy something. And that's, you know, and that's how it started. But it was, it's amazing in hindsight that, yeah, I was one of the top salespeople, although I was only working part-time.
Wow, I believe it.
I love learning
makeup, right? I had to do makeup touch-ups. And then fast forward years and years later, when I started and I was managing the Japanese beauty brand, Awake, and we were at Neiman Marcus. That was our primary distribution partner. And then I would travel every now and then to different stores as we were having events, in-store events with customers and with makeup artists. And when we were short-staffed, every now and then, you know, like I would step in just to help out. And everyone would like crack up because, you know, he was like, oh, the boss is like, you know, she's doing a makeover. And I was always so nervous just because I saw the team looking at me, and because I don't do it every day. Yeah, I remember those times, but I did do makeover at the counter, and I was good at it.
And I love learning about your, you know, party days. And are you still a night owl? Because I feel like, you know, there's emails that come in from you and you're working at like 11 o'clock at night sometimes.
I am, Karen. I am. And one of the things that, and again, it goes back to just like building relationships and having fun. But even when I ran Cosmoprof, right, like the last evening, we used to go clubbing, and then people that were close to me were invited, and we would go VIP, and then yes, we would party. I mean, why not? So Yeah, definitely. I love dancing, and then even at my age, which we're not gonna get into, but yeah, I still love going to a club every now and then.
I love it. We had so much fun at the club at the first Unfiltered in Vegas. So I love that you kind of infuse like your personality into the event
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that was fun too. One of my last Cosmoprof, actually, we had I don't know if you remember, but we invited Crystal Waters, who was this huge singer in the 90s and late 90s, and then we invited her because she launched a men's skincare brand. So we had her as a guest, and then we made her perform, and we took over the nightclub at the Mandalay Bay. I think the Light Club, I think that's the name. And yeah, so we did a performance with her, and we took over the club, which again, like, the Cosmoprof has never seen anything like it.
I love it. And speaking of Cosmoprof, I feel like you're so worldly because Cosmoprof was put on all over the world. And like, I'm sure you must have been traveling nonstop. How does that compare to, you know, this last year with not being able to travel? Like, how has that affected you just mental health wise?
It's been tough. It is tough, I have to say, because you're going 110 miles an hour, and suddenly it comes at a screeching halt, and you're not traveling anymore. You're no longer connecting with friends, because I said, in most of my friends work in the industry, so whenever I would travel, I would basically see my friends. So you suddenly are not seeing friends. You don't have those connections. I'm single, so I'm home with basically my dog, and it's been tough. And then the event world has been one of the most hurt industries, after hospitality. And I spoke earlier about the fact that we couldn't do events. We just did a virtual event. So all in all, it has been a very tough year. And it's just, in a way, though, it's a good opportunity. And I think for all of us, the learning from this pandemic is just that it's a moment to pause. And it's a moment to really look at what you've done so far with your life. And if you're on the right path, and if you're doing what really makes you happy, and what are you creating an impact through what you're doing? Are you happy with what you're doing? And I think that this pandemic forced a lot of us to do that, and myself included.
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing either, because I think all of us can benefit from kind of slowing down and really reevaluating, is this my path, and is this my purpose in life? And so in that way, it's kind of been this very unique moment in history for everybody.
Yeah. And I think, we all become so involved with just being busy, right? And that's such it's such a good excuse in many ways. And I'm such a pro at using that busyness, right? But it allows you the luxury of not having to deal with certain parts of your life that might not be ideal, and let's face it, there's very few people that are very balanced across, community life and personal life, and personal development and career, and family. So because of that reason, we all use this busyness as an excuse, so we don't deal with those parts where we're not doing so well. And COVID had kind of ripped that Band-Aid off, and it's yeah, you're busy, okay, well, how about now? And now it's okay, so you really have to look and observe at all of these other parts of your life that you've kind of neglected, and you have to make a decision, do you want to do something about it or not?
Speaking of which brings us to because you are so busy, I want to talk about some of the sacrifices that you've made for your career. And that includes sacrifices in your personal life. And, as far as relationships go, you haven't really been able to have a relationship because you don't have any time for that. What are some of those sacrifices, and what did that look like for you? And how are you navigating those now?
So I've started mentioning, for sure, I got very absorbed with my career, and I associated with Cosmoprof and running Cosmoprof because it offered me the opportunity to create an impact on so many entrepreneurs. And I thrive in being of service and helping, you know, others grow, and seeing their passion stimulated me as well, right? And it gave me that fuel to continue and innovate and do more fun things and more fun projects. But in doing so, then I became self-absorbed into my work, and it was all about work. So you know that I have not dated. I had not paid any attention to my personal life. You know, like, yeah, I would work out when I was home, but I was on the road most of the time. And when I was on the road, no, I wasn't working out. I was just going out to dinners and then having drinks and having coffees and lunch and, you know, you name it. So it creates that kind of a lifestyle where, you know, it was fun for me, but it also numbed me from having to deal with these other aspects of my life that, you know, I should have, which is family, which is taking care of myself, being better to myself, and then taking time out to have personal relationships, you know, and dating. So that certainly impacted my life a lot. And I'm now, because of COVID, I have taken a step back, and I have evaluated, you know, certain things that I was doing, and I am wanting to do better. So I am being better at, you know, taking care of me and meditating. I've started, you know, doing meditation almost every day and working out. I have been cleaning my diet a lot. And then I've started dating. Like, I put myself out there, which is so nerve-wracking, and you know, after not doing it for a long time, you know, it's so alien. But I'm trying, you know, and I'm trying to, as I said, I'm trying to do things that before I didn't, because I was just go, and it was always go work, go work.
I wanted to talk about how, you know, dating, when you're basically at the top of your game, how has that, you know, kind of played into an intimidation factor with the men that you have dated? Because it is intimidating. And, you know, I wanted to kind of like get into that as well, as being such a powerful woman, you know, and being like in such a position of power. Like, how has that kind of really affected the caliber of guys that you date?
Well, so that's the challenge when you're at a certain level in your career as a woman. It's you want to be dating someone who is your equal, who you can respect, but who can also understand the dynamics that you're dealing with, right? Because if you're dating someone that has a more laid back career, who doesn't travel a lot, you know, who doesn't have so many demands put upon themselves by work, you know, then they don't get like, why are you working at 8 p.m.? Why are you working weekends? Why are you traveling so much? So you kind of need someone that, you know, is your equal from that aspect, which is very difficult to find. And then most men are, yes, I have found, unfortunately, that many men are intimidated by women that are independent and they don't need anything. And, you know, all they want is the company of someone, but they don't need to be taken care of. And that's definitely been a challenge. And I've had girlfriends advising me to not be honest about what I was doing and my career path, you know, and say like, I'm a hairstylist, and keep it with that, so that I don't intimidate other men. But I can't really do that, because I feel like if you can't take me as I am from the beginning, it's not even worth going through the motions, right? So I'm just going to be honest from the get-go, and this is who I am, and this is my lifestyle. And if you can accept it and you're fine with it, you know, then awesome. If not, you know, it's not going to work out. But yeah, it's difficult dating and finding men that are at your level, and having them accept your independence, and then the fact that, yeah, they're a nice addition in your life, but they're not the point of your life, right?
Right. Well, thank you for opening up about that, because I feel like that's something that it just is so unspoken. Like it's not really a conversation, but it is important. And, you know, a lot of women are dealing with this, and things are changing in the workforce. And I feel like that's just something that goes with it. And it's a common thing that happens. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that the other thing, and you can relate to this, you know, it's maybe you don't want to have a person that, you know, is your equal, because you want to have, you know, that level of support. And then, you know, then you need to set your expectations where the other person then is not going to be, you know, go and the same level, you know, financially as you are,
Right.
and educational as you are, but they're going to give you the nurturing, they're going to give you the attention, you know, that you may want, you know, but you're not going to get from someone who is busy. You're not going to get from a CEO of a company who's always like on the phone and who's traveling all the time. So
Right.
you're going to get quality time with that person, but you're not going to get the nurturing and, you know, waiting at home for you and doing things for you,
Right.
as, you know, someone else would. So
Right.
it's also like understanding yourself and what are you okay with and what can you live with.
No, that's so true. And I couldn't imagine going through the process of starting my own company and kind of breaking off and being a little bit more independent over the last 4 years without having such support at home. I mean, it was flawless, really. I mean, so I really appreciate you bringing that up, because it doesn't mean that you have to be, you know, yes, of course you want to be equally yoked with your partner, but that doesn't mean financially necessarily.
No,
So,
and there's a compromise there, like I said, right? Because if both of you are very career focused and, you know, you're pulled into different directions at all times, it's normal that what you will have is you'll have shorter time together, but it will be more quality time.
right.
Versus, you know, if you have someone that is not so career driven, and therefore they can focus their time on you.
Right, exactly. Yes, absolutely. And maybe someday the kids, right?
No, not in my case, but in your case for sure. Yes, my only kids would be my King Charles Cavalier.
Oh my gosh, love her. I like her. Yes, well, thank you so much for opening up about that. I just so appreciate you seeing, you know, something in me. You have such a natural gift to find, you know, find the right people, place them, help them grow their careers. And I just so appreciate you for doing that, and just for like taking the time and talking to us today. And, you know, I wanted to thank you so much for just being such a great friend to Editor. And I would love to get into what you're working on now. I would love to talk about what you're working on now and what's coming up for you.
Yeah. Well, I do have to say, you know, to step back for a moment, I do appreciate you a lot as well, because you have, we've met several years ago, and you have grown so much as well. And I'm so proud of the successful boss that you've become, and the company you've built, and the impact that you are now having on so many entrepreneurs, and then on the influencers you work with, you know, which is young talent coming into the industry. So I commend you for growing into this beautiful young lady who has this great impact in the industry. But to your question, what am I working on? So right now, this year, with events being the way they are, I wanted to try something for a while, and that was really getting on digital TV and allowing founders to tell their story, and allowing consumers to discover new brands through the stories of founders. So we have a collaboration with Bespoke TV, and there's going to be a pilot show called Behind the Mirror that will air sometime at the end of April. And each episode will feature 4 founders that will be telling their brand story. And then we are going to be airing them. Bespoke TV is available on Cox. They're available on several different channels. They're available through Apple TV, and then through Store app, which you can download on your phone. And we're working with Beauty Care Choices. So each episode will have its own dedicated beauty box that the viewers could order. And that way they can try the products from the companies that they've seen in the episode. I'm excited. I've been doing lots of interviews with founders, and some of them are more well-known than others, but it's so much fun to just ask them their stories and, you know, how they got started in the industry, their learnings. So I'm working on putting together this show and then bringing it to life, and then we'll see how that goes.
We can't wait to see it. We know it's going to be amazing if you're involved.
It'll be fun. You'll discover some really awesome founders and some cool brands as well.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's you in your natural habitat, working with entrepreneurs, and I feel like that's where you thrive and where you're so comfortable.
It is so true. It is so true. Yeah, and having them talk about their products and just making them feel comfortable. So that's been fun.
You're so hands-on. Are there some trends or some products that are up and coming that you've been seeing just from, you know, talking to the founders? I'd love to hear about business trends too, but I'd love to start with the beauty trends.
We see a lot of focus on vitamin C right now, and then retinols in general. Mm-hmm. And I think it has to do with the fact too that we've been home during this pandemic, and a lot of spas and then derm offices were not open. So the vitamin C, the retinol are a really good alternative for boosting your skin elasticity and then clarity and brightness. So we see those two ingredients. Clean beauty continues to do well. However, there's a shift now more towards clinical brands that do have performance, you know, at their core. Sustainability is becoming huge. CBD has, you see more CBD being used, especially in ingestibles and gummies. I am very excited about this new brand that we've worked with at Unfiltered as well, called High on Love, which is a company based in Canada. And it's a luxury sexual wellness brand that uses CBD. The packaging is over the top, beautiful and feminine. And I love the products. They're very quirky. They have everything from a candle that when you burn it, it transforms into an oil that you can use it for massage oil. And then they have dry body oils. They have body paint, chocolate. Like, they have really fun things. And I feel in a way it kind of like takes the conversation of sexual wellness, you know, in a direction where it's not dirty, it's not taboo. And I'm very excited about seeing that. So I love that brand. I think sexual wellness is definitely an area category that we see more of. And makeup has really suffered a lot, unfortunately, especially since, you know, we're home, we're not really using lipsticks as much. But I think it will see a resurgence. A lot of people are talking about the roaring 20s. So we're waiting for that for sure. Makeup companies are waiting for that.
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing because I still wear makeup.
Pandemic or no pandemic.
I know, I'm still buying. I am that sucker. I mean, I'll use it once, but I have to have it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I use it when I do video interviews like this. But other than that, no, I've been very good with my bare skin.
Good job.
I've been loving drugstore lately. Honestly, the drugstore caliber nowadays is like comparable to these really high-end brands. So I think that's exciting. There's just more competition, you know, for these well-established kind of big guns in the industry.
What do we need to get?
I'm wearing the NYX foundation. The L'Oreal Air Volume Mascara is incredible. It's like, you know, it's like, I love Too Faced better than Sex Mascara, but then this Air Volume is like, wow, it's like, it's very similar in formula. So I love that. But yeah, I think what makes beauty fun is just like, there's always these new exciting formulas coming out, and it's like, you can mix the high and low and love like across all different kind of like genres.
For sure. Yeah. And hair, hey, I mean, let's not forget, hair has been massive through this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell us how. What have you observed?
Well, you see more people are getting comfortable doing hair color at home. So you've seen Madison Reed. They have, their business has just exploded. And you're seeing more people be comfortable with their natural hair, you know. Like maybe not necessarily coloring, or not flat ironing their hair and doing chemical treatments, you know, and just letting it be its own natural state. So you've seen more activity around hair care at home, hair masks at home. And I think that's great. And then the nail segment, you know, which really took a nosedive before the pandemic, you know, with so many salons closed or people not feeling comfortable going to nail salons, you know, the nail category picked up a lot. So that was really good to see, because there's a couple of really cool indie brands that came to market, and they're seeing now a resurgence in sales and interest. So good for them.
That's so true. That's so key to point out. And even like, you know, we represent a few waxing brands, and especially in the beginning of the pandemic, I mean, waxing kits were going like crazy. They still are. People are waxing at home. And I mean, it's crazy because everything just seems like so much more low maintenance, and it's been very refreshing.
Yeah.
I hadn't gotten my hair done for like 8 or 9 months. And then my hairstylist was watching my stories, and she's like, I think you should come in. And I'm like, oh gosh, I totally forgot. And she's never hit me up to come in ever. And I was like, oh gosh, okay. That's the haircut.
Yeah, I hear you. I was I went natural for about a year, and then finally I decided to go back to blonde.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's good. And how does your hair feel now?
It feels healthier. But yeah, it feels healthier, but it's a commitment. Hey, you know, gotta go to that stylist every few weeks.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. What about some business trends you've been seeing?
Business trends, you see way more direct to consumer. There's so many brands now that, because the retail has been impacted, you see a lot of direct to consumer. Everyone is like wanting to have their own e-commerce, even in the professional beauty space, which traditionally are products that are sold in a salon or a spa, because those institutions have been closed. I mean, in California, for example, salons were shut down for most of the pandemic. So a lot of the professional beauty brands now as well are investing in their own e-commerce and selling direct, which you haven't seen before. So direct to consumer is huge. Online sales, more consumers are now buying online and are more comfortable with buying online. And then Amazon continues to have a huge impact. And again, there were many brands that were hesitant on going on Amazon, but you're starting to see more and more the acceptance that is just another, you know, distribution avenue, and there's a lot of eyeballs there. So there's been more shift to companies being more apt on going on Amazon. And even from an investing point of view, you know, you're starting to see investors interested in spending money on companies that might be exclusive to Amazon only, which you didn't have before. So it kind of tells you that, you know, it's becoming its own moment for the beauty space as well, because it wasn't as much for beauty before. You're starting to see companies like Ulta partnering with Target. So as of the fall, we're going to see Ulta shops within Target stores.
Wild.
Amazing.
Sephora is now going to Kohl's. So it's interesting to see these specialty beauty retailers tap into the mass market retailers that have a lot of storefronts that are outside of traditional malls. So they could tap into new audiences, and they could bring more of the indie brands to, you know, consumers that may not necessarily know those companies and those products.
And a trend that you picked up on back in 2017 was streaming. And now look at where streaming is. People are streaming nonstop.
I know.
This billion-dollar idea of yours.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies, that are certainly focusing on live streaming. I think it will be as with anything new, it will be it's trial and error, and will take some time for people to be used to the format. But it has a lot of opportunity, and a lot of people are now starting to pay attention to it. And it's something that for sure I've seen, do so well in China, and I felt like it has to come to the States. It has to. So we're going to watch and see how it's going to evolve.
What do you think is also the future of influencer brands? Because I think, for a while we saw so many amazing collabs come out with influencers and huge brands. And then influencers started, to go straight to consumer and just do it themselves. And I think there was this huge influx kind of right before the pandemic. And I think it's slowed down since. But what do you feel like is the future of influencer brands?
I think most of the influencers were in the makeup arena, which, as I was saying, the makeup category suffered the most. And there's only so much innovation you can do with makeup. So it's really more about then the packaging as a key differentiator. And buying makeup online, especially a new brand, it is more challenging. You're limited to pretty much selling to your own community, right? Mm-hmm. And that percentage of sales, is, I was reading, like 0.25 of your community will basically be converting and buying. So there's not a whole lot of business, truly, if you think of it. Mm-hmm. So I think that the influencer brands have seen a slowdown. What we're seeing now is actually a move back to celebrities. So there's more celebrities coming into the fold, which there was the trend in the 90s and the mm-hmm. 2000s, right? But now we're starting to see that again. So we've seen J.Lo come up with her brand. We've seen Ariana.
Mm-hmm. Rihanna too. Mm-hmm.
And now Fenty's getting into hair. So you're starting to see more celebrities bridge and then come into the industry. And I think that the influencers are kind of like now being like shifted, and then the spotlight is on the celebrities.
Well, the celebrities also have huge backing. Rihanna has Kendo that she partnered with, and Lady Gaga has the ability to sell House Labs on Amazon. So it's like they crush the competition in terms of these smaller influencers launching a few palettes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a celebrity, you have more ability to use a bigger platform, a bigger megaphone than just a traditional social media influencer. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. And I know you talk a lot about AR and just virtual reality also playing a part in, shaping what's to come in beauty. Do you still feel like that's the case?
Yeah. And we've seen, so that has helped a lot with this shift from buying online, from stores to online. AI, AR has helped a lot because it allows consumers to experience and try on product without having to touch it. And I think we're just going to see a wider adoption of it, where it helps consumers identify products right for them, be it that it's skincare or hair, or helps with color matching. So we're certainly going to see more of that.
Well, this is all great to know. We know that you're, 10 steps ahead of the competition, and we value your insight and value, you just being on the show and sharing with us today.
Well, thank you. This was really fun, and I enjoyed having ambition for breakfast. I think I need another cup in a minute.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, you are the queen of connection, innovation, and reinvention. Where can our listeners go and follow you and support you?
So I'm on Instagram. I don't post a whole lot, but I'm on Instagram. My name, Daniela M. Ciocan, and Facebook. And then, of course, on LinkedIn.
Amazing.
Thank you, Daniela. We can't wait to see big things to come.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
It was our pleasure.
Thank you guys so much for listening. And if you guys want to follow us, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram at
Ambition for Breakfast with the number 4 on Instagram. And you can follow me and Brianna. I'm at Written by Karen on Instagram.
And I'm at Brie Armstrong.
Thanks so much for listening.